Hey, Dragon Dreamers, Gina Virginia Casella here. Wonderful to be here with you today. Well, big welcome to you and a big welcome to new followers. You know, it's never about the quantity, it's always about the quality. And this morning I was commenting in my Buy Me a Coffee membership that this is quite the high quality group. So I sincerely thank you for being a part of this. Also, I'm doing a little bit of research, zoning in on you, Dragon Dreamers, and I'm wondering which platforms you use. I've been doing lots of cross posting lately, and I'm hopeful to tone it down. So let me know because I feel like platforms vary and member engagement seems to be very high on Buy Me a Coffee, at least for me and my members, as well as Rumble. Let me know if you're tuning in on Rumble or YouTube. Both of those should be streaming live right now. I love sharing my progress, and I'd love for you to share your progress too. You know, when I became a spiritual biz entrepreneur, that was the one thing that was emphasized. What separates a spiritual biz entrepreneur from just a regular entrepreneur? Well, there's the spiritual lens, right? Furthermore, there's also this piece where we show the public our vulnerability. We show our authenticity. We're real people too. We make mistakes, even though you know, strive to live consciously. I was almost going to say try to live consciously, but it's trying to be trying. And so I've mindfully switching my language from trying to striving. I don't want to try anymore. I'm not interested in trying. I'm interested in striving. That's the hummingbird style, right? And so when we connect with each other, we connect with our soul tribe. And that to me is the first priority in running my spiritual biz. We need to click and connect with each other. And then when it comes to the services that I offer, basically, I have the knowledge, education, life skills, training, and experience that I was able to help myself heal. And I was also to get help from others. A very hard lesson I had a hard time learning and accepting was that the shaman needs a shaman, the healer needs a healer. We require each other. We're jam packed full of blind spots. And so, this business of sharing is very important to me because story medicine is important to me. And that story medicine brings me to today's topic. So today with Dream Alchemist, we're highlighting dream journals. So this is an opportunity for you to connect live with yours truly, ask me questions about your dream journal. And if you have a look at my YouTube, you'll notice there's all kinds of playlists. And I'm narrowing them down. So one playlist is um, this here, Hummingbird's Finest Nectar. And part of that is us talking about dream journals. I do new moon wisdom weavers. I also do full moon dragon illuminous. And so um, everything just gets funneled in there. But there's content that we talk about for Dream Alchemist comes directly from the Conscious Evolution mini series, provided absolutely free by yours truly. And it's the kind of series that I'm not in a rush to post a bunch of videos. These are the kind of videos that one video is going to take you like a month or two to commit to. You might weave between multiple videos. Right now, there's 5. I'm excited to make more, but I'm holding back myself because these videos are tailored directly to you. So there's no sense in me posting content about things that interest me. It needs to be in relation to you and where you're at in your journey. And I'm excited to share with you all of my tools. And that's why Soul Tribe and this story medicine is important. So um, those tools we can effectively zone in on. And one tool that really benefited me, which brings us to today's topic, is dream journaling. So dream journals, I've shown you my dream journals before. I took a little break from dream journaling. I've started doing it again. Um, you can't see because the background is on. There we go. So I just picked this up from the dollar store. Follow Your Dreams. I thought it was a cool book. I'm going to, oh, you know what? Um, let me remove the background so I can show you all that work I did to put it up. Okay, let me just remove the background here. I want to show you my dream journal, so I don't want to spend the show with it, being blurred the whole time. And I'm digging StreamYard. It's working out for me, still figuring it out. If you're interested, there's a link right here. So in the comments, just cut and paste that, and you can save yourself some money. Okay, media assets. Let me remove my background. Okay, so looks like I'm just going to go to, I might just make a little video on different platforms like StreamYard and Canva, and let me know in the comments if you're interested in that, because I know I'm learning as I go. My computer was freezing, so sometimes I'm not sure if it's me or my PC, but I have a lot of experience as a teacher and just making a little PowerPoint presentation. Let me know if you're interested in that kind of stuff. So now that my background's removed. Oh, and somebody was asking in the comments here about sacred space. When I do um, full moon, new moon, my gemstone readings, I'll open up sacred space. When I'm doing dream journaling and we're just chit-chatting away, I don't open up sacred space because we're just hanging out and talking. If you've caught me live on the Typical Skeptic podcast or on Riding Through the Unknown, for example, I dive into the mini gemstone readings, and I typically don't open up sacred space for those. Behind the scenes, I open up sacred space all of the time. I do it every morning. And thank you for asking that, because it is important to do that when it's time to do that. And of course, if you wanted to on your own, by all means, you can do that. So follow your dreams. Um, my dream journals, I find I like to have just cheap paper, but I felt like every now and then I want it to be more of a fairy tale feel. And so this hardcover book was facilitating that. So I just really want to emphasize that dream journals don't have to be fancy. And I'm also making it a point, um, at least right now in my life, because it's always changing and alchemizing, to spend, a few days to a week, maybe even more, adding to the same dream journal. Something that's going on in my life, let me know if you can relate, is reoccurring themes. So, when you pull a tarot card or an oracle card, you get repeat cards, and that's signifying to you that stop pulling new cards all the time. Like, stick on this one theme and focus on that. And recently I was invited to go onto a vision quest. And I thought, oh, good, because symbols have actually been lacking in my life. Um, there's a lot of shifting that's been going on, mostly because my subconscious mind and other forms of martial arts training, if you will, that I've been mind martial arts, if that's what you want to call it, that I've been engaging in, has shifted gears. And so I thought, oh, good, a vision quest. I'm going to meditate on this. I'm going to dream about it. And vision, the storyline will come to me and I'll have my answers. And usually when I do a vision quest, I get an answer like that day, the next day. It's just, it comes to me. Um, this was not coming to me. So I wanted to invite you to share out in the comments how you can relate, because sometimes when I'm dream journaling, every day I'm pulling a new card, every day I'm doing a new journal with a new doodle on it. But then there's these other times where I keep the same card intentionally. Sometimes I'll keep the same card for an entire month. It just depends what's going on. So I have completed this vision quest. If you've been following me on Buy Me a Coffee, you can read all about it. And on that note, visit my website, ginavirginiacasella.com. All the information is there in the description. One link makes it easy, right? ginavirginiacasella.com. It's got my Buy Me a Coffee, all kinds of free resources, paid memberships as well. And the best case scenario is that you get a paid membership, so you get the one-on-one with me, but then also you take advantage of all these freebies. And then we know when we do our little story medicine part of our private session, you can show me your dream journals and ask questions. So I'm always passionate about sharing, and I look forward to hosting the first of its kind, the Dragon Dream Soul Tribe Collective Conference, but one thing at a time. That's just something I'm starting to brew behind the scenes now. So I want to show you the Vision Quest journal, and then depending on time, I can show you other ones. So there's two parts actually. So this first part of the Vision Quest journal was an airplane. I didn't know it was going to be an airplane. So what happened was, um, I have this journal here as my dream journal. Okay, good for me. But then I get this tarot card to go on a vision quest. And um, I don't know why, but I just felt compelled that I needed to do it in a separate booklet, because I didn't acknowledge this as being part of my dream journal. I just thought this was like a separate homework activity. And that's something else I wanted to connect with you about. I go through phases where I put like everything in my dream journal, whether it's like me working on my personal banking information, it has nothing to do with dreams, but I put it in there anyways, because the dream journal becomes this blended journal of our dream life and our waking life. The waking life, arguably the real dream life, and then the dream life is there for us to like access the deeper subconscious mind, connect, manifest, visit other realities. That's a whole other ball game I enjoy having conversations about. Rosie's here with me, in case you're wondering, that was her tail. So, anyways, I felt compelled to do this vision quest on a separate piece of paper. Um, so it's kind of personal. I took pictures of it, made a little video. I mean, you could pause it and read it, but basically, my vision quest was mostly words, because I did this over the course of like a week. I added to it. It was mostly just words, and it was all like um, strawberry jam, blueberry jam, raspberry jam, blackberry blueberry jam. I talked about pies and cookies that I would make, shortbread cookies, and then putting the jam in the middle to make like a cookie sandwich. And then, my Nona, my father's side's Italian, she'd make these really fancy cookies like that. And then she would take the cookie sandwich, dip it in chocolate because it wasn't fancy enough. And then she would dip that into nuts because that wasn't fancy enough. And then she'd put like a cherry on top. And it's just like something so simple like shortbread cookies, and cake recipes and jams and preserves. And when I moved out on my own, um, that's all I did was cook home cooked meals, mostly because of affordability and also because I come from a family upbringing where we didn't go to restaurants very often. It wasn't a money thing. I mean, my parents would have loved to gone out to restaurants more and wine and dine, but in my family, we just really didn't believe in spending our money on restaurants because we cooked phenomenal food at home. Like it just didn't make sense to us to order pasta or fish and chips, and something like steak, we'd rather like make that at home the way we want it. So I thought initially that this dream journal was reminding me of my childhood and my hopes and dreams, which it was. Um, but I also thought it was interesting because I've gone through phases in my life where I've done cooking and making jams and pickles and preserves, and all that's reflected on here. But I haven't done it in a while. Like a while, like a good 10 years, a while, maybe even more. And even though I've kept up with, you know, cooking behind the scenes and creativity, switching to the vegan lifestyle, which has been challenging because my roommates, my parents, are carnivores. And so it's hard, those challenges and just food in general, comfort foods that I grew up with, but also I've been on my own since age 19. And so my own comfort foods and just, anyways, it goes on and on and on. But a point to be made that there was an emphasis on fruits and vegetables that were in my area. So I love pineapple, for example. Pineapple doesn't grow in Canada, not naturally, anyways, because of the snow and cold climate that we get. And so when I was making this list, even though it was word dominated, it was providing me with images, and the images weren't of actual blueberries. It was about a campground, and it was about me being out in nature. Um, this business and visions of me being at home making jam. I see that in my mind. I see me in my old various apartments that I've lived in. I can see myself there. I can see the kitchen, the different, sinks that I've washed dishes in and whatnot. But this wasn't really about me making preserves. It was about me returning to the things that bring me joy. And the things that bring me joy are really rooted in simplicity, something so simple like making jam and preserves. And the joy, because I remember feeling like the end of August and September, that's when I would do this work. And I remember feeling like, I don't want to look at any more strawberries. I'm so sick of strawberries, or like I'm really loving my spicy carrot preserves that I made, but I'm so tired of carrots, right? And you put it away and you forget about it. But then when those winter months come by, wow, is it ever a treat to pull out those preserves? And it just makes me feel connected to the land and themes of sovereignty, because at that time when I was making those preserves, I wasn't making connections about sovereignty. But now, after all these years, now I'm looking back and I'm missing that connection, because what I was doing was I was defaulting to life cycles, um, the harvest season, and I was also defaulting to that traditional sacred readiness in anticipation of the winter climate here in Canada. If you're not being responsible, accountable with your garden, especially back in the day, then you would die of starvation. So you needed to plan in advance, and things like preserves were very important. Even green tomatoes were harvested. Anything that was edible was harvested and mixed in with sauces. And a lot of traditional recipes, apple pie, for example, if you look at traditional recipes, there's often it calls for a pear or a plum, and you're like, what the heck is a pear or a plum doing in a traditional apple pie recipe. And the reality is there wasn't enough apples. That's why grandma's recipe was always so good, because she defaulted to being creative and snuck in, pears in your apple pie and you didn't even know any different. Or maybe she snuck in some pumpkin or zucchini into your pear pie and you had absolutely no idea. So it's just this magic of the world that we live in. And part of this dream quest was part of that. And um, so there's much more to say. It gets a little bit personal, but yeah, and it goes on and on forever, right? This is like a serious shortened version. But something that bothered me when I did this dream quest is I thought, okay, good for me. I went on this dream quest. Um, where are the pictures, right? It was mostly words. I added these pictures a few days after the fact. So it was all words except for a doodle here I did of like an ideal house and garden that I once dreamed of. The dream is still alive. It's just different now, alchemized. I also drew this picture here. It, to me, it represents oneness. So it doesn't matter if like you're in the form of a Venn diagram, or if you're in the form of this cylinder, or if you're the like one of those circles, the mouth, the eye, the vagina, whatever your metaphors are, because depending on the angle that you're looking at will depend on if you see a Venn diagram. So um, if you hold something like this, it might look like a Venn diagram, but if you tilt it like that, it looks like a cylinder, like a telescope you can look through. But if you tilt it a bit more, all of a sudden it looks like an eye, and you would have no idea that the rest of the telescope is there. And so all of these things are going through my mind, right? And I fell back on my energy medicine practitioner's training, and I'm going through my notes, and I'm like, what power animal energy is connecting with me here? Like, because the vision quest is like words, and Jaguar is all about words and emotions. And that hit me hard in a positive way, because I used to be so terrified of Jaguar, um, because it was so unfamiliar to me. And there's a separate story about that. It's hard to believe I used to be terrified of the ghosties, and then it's even hard to believe that even meeting the power animals, Jaguar in particular, really gave me the spooks. And I later only learned when I did my shamanic training. I'm sure the information is out there, but I personally was not awakened to it until I did my shamanic training, that it's very natural and very normal to get what's known as the Jaguar spooks. So, when cat is scared and it runs up a tree, and like, you know what, you can call the cat down, you can shake the treats, the cat's not coming down, it's spooked. All you can do is wait for the cat to just come down on its own. Um, Even if you climb up the tree and try and get the cat will like try and scratch your face off. It's just best to back off. That was me. I was that cat in the tree. And so there's certain timestamps in my life where Jaguar words and emotions were trying to connect with me, as trying to be trying. And I was so spooked that I was up in that tree. I wasn't receiving the messages from Jaguar. And those of you who have been following me know that when I was a kid, I went to the special education classroom for language arts. And so my whole life, I've been haunted with this feeling of like me not being intelligent. I'm not good with words. Well, that's part of this, me being spooked from of Jaguar. And I don't know, like, speaking of words, I don't want to get hung up on words. I don't know if rejecting is the right word to use, but I put a wall up and I blocked off Jaguar. You're too scary and spooky for me. I can't handle this. So during those challenging times in my life, those timestamp times in my life, Jaguar was always there. And this was like a special journey, this vision quest, like a return to, it's like, okay, I'm in my mid 40s now. I had a phenomenal career as a teacher. That was a role I took on. I learned that the hard way. I let that role go. Even now, as an energy medicine practitioner, this is my role that I'm doing, but I'm not my role, right? I'm not my role. And when you do this dream journaling, it's interesting because it just kind of like it hits you every now and then. Like, you know that expression, like, have you ever listened to yourself talk? Like, take your own advice, listen to yourself. You're telling yourself your own answers that you seek. And this journal was very powerful to me because um, this has always been my calling. And even though Jaguar knew I was too scared, Jaguar gave me that space and kind of like a camera, if you will, recorded snippets in my life of who I am, not my role. Because when I was making this list, I thought like, am I making a grocery list or something? Like, why am I writing down all these things, pickles, dill, vinegar that I would have to buy, mason jars. Um, because when I was doing all my education, skills, training, all those days that I was out there taking the bus, that's not me. All those minimum wage customer service roles that I worked, that's not me. All those challenging times that I had in my life where I didn't, show up in the world the way I wanted to, the way that I wanted the world to perceive me. That's not me. I remember when I was a teenager working at the McDonald's on Friday and Saturday nights, and there'd be other groups of teenagers coming in. And I just remember thinking, like, shit, man, like, I wish I could hang out with those teenagers instead of like asking them if they want to supersize their fry, Um, it and I just always felt judged. Like maybe those teenagers would look at me and think, "Oh, look at her with her dorky McDonald's uniform on," or something like that. And I just remember thinking, like, this isn't me. Like I like to go out too for not coffee at that time, but I like to go out, a pop too, or um, I like to. I grew up in Timmins, Ontario, and at that time there were a lot of punk shows in town for $5. I couldn't go because my parents were too strict about that, but also I had to work the Saturdays, right? I had to work the Friday and Saturdays, and I remember like my first long time relationship boyfriend. He really loved Cypress Hill and System of a Down, and me too, right? But that was like his music, and it's like that's my music too, right? And so, anyways, Jaguar through this process was reminding me that, you know, the other power of Jaguar sees the world, refuses to see the world the same as everyone else. So I was like, not right away, but like a week into this, I was like bawling my eyes out because I'm like, Jaguar, thank you for seeing me for me. Thank you for seeing the emotion. Thank you for recognizing that even as a teenager or university student, I like to go out and party. And by party, I mean I like to go out and dance the night away. I like to have some beers. I like to get intoxicated. I like to keep it safe too, right? But I always felt like I was missing out. And um, contemplating like my own story, like where did I go wrong in my life and how could I make this better? And we do that because we don't want to relive those things. We want to alchemize and make change, right? Like, who are the people in my life that I should be focusing on more? And who are the people in my life that I should really cut out or have a healthy boundary with? Um, and so this really resonated with me, especially because in my childhood, I didn't do dream journaling. But I remember as a child, I would write the word keyboard and I would spell it wrong, because the word piano, I was too afraid to spell that. Even though I spelled keyboard wrong, people understood what I was trying to communicate. And so we do that when we struggle with words, when we have a lack of words, or if we can't spell, then we limit ourselves by substituting that with something else. In my whole life, I've been substituting words and communication with pictures. And that's always worked for me, but then other folks don't know what those pictures mean. And so this, I just got like a lot of bang for my buck, which was $0, by the way, um, in this process because these stories, like all this, like that's not my life anymore. And my role, like who the hell am I? Who am I even becoming? Well, I'm always going to be me. And I used to read this book to my class all the time. I Like Me by Nancy Carlson, I think was her name. Carson. Sorry, Nancy. I remember the first name, Nancy. I Like Me. And the end of the book, I just love it because it's like no matter where I go or what I do, I'm always going to be me. And I like that. And at the end of the book, the kids, they would always like say that part with me. Um, and, uh, and it's just like going back to listening to yourself, like Gina, listen to yourself. You're always going to be you. It doesn't matter if you're a teacher. It doesn't matter if you're an energy medicine practitioner. It doesn't matter if you're working at McDonald's. It doesn't matter if you're working at Byway. Byway, I don't think those exist anymore. By the way, I don't think Byway exists anymore. Great deals. Um, was one of those stores that had a little bit of everything, but the point is, it doesn't matter what my title is. It doesn't matter what roles I take on, what customer service roles. I'm always going to be me. And who am I? I'm the person that likes to dance around in the kitchen and make jams. I like to go out in the morning and pick those cucumbers and get busy making pickles. I like working. Time is an illusion, but I like working with time and timelessness. I enjoy getting lost in timelessness when I go to the beach, and then I enjoy working with the clock. It excites me. It motivates me, and learning about gatekeepers and timekeepers. There's just so much to say about this, right? And I felt frustrated because this vision quest, it's like, oh man, I'm not done it. That means I have to like continue it. Like, when is this going to end? But as you can see, this just goes on and on and on and on and on. So the vision quest needed to go on and on and on and on and on for me to get these answers. So it goes on and on and on. And I draw more doodles. There's dreams that I've had, meditations. Were they dreams or meditations? Because I don't eat in my dreams. And that hit me a couple of years ago. I was like, oh my God, if I'm eating in a dream, then is it a dream? Am I in another dimension? Do I require to be sustained on some kind of level? Do I require nourishment? Whether I'm actually eating a physical blueberry or not, or whether my mind is just providing me with an image and energetically I'm consuming something, I don't know. But I started thinking about goddesses and the goddess Bridget, blueberries, tiger lilies. Those haven't, like, I mean, the goddess Bridget, I feel like is always with me, but in my dream journal, she hasn't really been making an appearance. And then it was like, whoa, well, she's in here now. There's also, um, uh, I call her Skyhawk, the warrior goddess. It's my little nickname for her. She fed me too, and she came up in my dream. Um, Liberty came up. Liberty, I don't feel is me. I feel like he's an ally, and he's the guy who always shows up with like worms and stuff like that for me to eat. And he's always like really excited for me to eat it. Like, look what I got for you, and I'm always like, thanks. Um, and And he knows that I'm, working towards being vegetarian vegan. And so when he opened up his hand, it had like herbs and stuff like that in there. So it was like on a subconscious level, these archetypes are also alchemizing. Just going back to Skyhawk for a moment, in the past, when I've dreamt about her, I don't know what animal it is, but I can tell it's some kind of small furry animal that she hunts and provides a meal for me. Probably a rabbit, some kind of small furry animal, like I said. But this time, I think it might have been fish, because she's very like, well, she's a warrior and she's literally living off the land and in survival mode. But she's communicating to me that, okay, these are the ways of knowing. I'm alchemizing with you, like Liberty is. And so I don't want to get into an ethical conversation, but the warrior goddess in the world of Gina, anyways, if she can have fish in lieu of other forms of meat, then that's what she's doing. And she also has a connection with liberty because eating insects and whatnot. And we can get into a conversation about, shrimp, for example, being insects of the ocean and things like snails, but this is just take it as is, okay, folks? And somebody else that came to me was Lucky. Lucky is in one of the Dragon Dreams Oracle. Lucky represents just that, luck. And I thought, well, why am I drawing Lucky? Maybe I just need some luck. And Lucky is also associated with fire. And recently, because of my energy medicine training, I get together with my colleagues. We clean up each other's chakras. We do extractions on each other's, soul retrieval, the whole shebang. Shaman needs a shaman. I've got my blind spots right. And they have theirs too. So um, I'm really lucky because services like that cost a lot of money. But because we're providing each other with an energy exchange, I get to be a part of that. So there's a lot of blessings in my life that are, it's just, I'm lucky to have that. It's not because I earned it. It's not because um, it's just, it's, I'm lucky and I recognize that. It didn't have to be that way, you know. Um, what else did I want to make a note here? Oh, yes. So through this vision quest, one of my colleagues was, clearing out my chakras for me. And she was commenting that the the chakra related to fire um, was in need of the most attention, and usually that's the one that's nice and solid for me. Um, so it was like there was some kind of disconnect with passion, and that passion rooted in information that I shared earlier about me and me living my life and who I am, not my roles. Being a student, that was a role. Being a daughter is a role. This time of year, rights, roles, responsibilities are on my mind. I was a teacher for 20 years, and here in Canada, November 11th, Remembrance Day. So this time of year, it's October 24th. I would talk a lot about stranger danger in the human body because we would, kids going to the Halloween stores and whatnot and seeing the costumes. And I would connect that to hygiene and self care, but also peace. And what does peace mean to you? And what does it mean to have rights? We'd get into the UN Convention Rights of the Child. Um, what does it mean to have a role? What does it mean to have a responsibility? And um, those lessons that I taught, I haven't taught since 2021 because I haven't been teaching since 2021. It's 2025. But there's a part of me on a subconscious level that's still in sync with my teaching themes. And on a deeper subconscious level, I was being reminded that basically, Gina, live the fuck out of your life. Live it. Don't hold back. You're always going to be you. I would like to take more training. Well, does that mean I'm going to be changing because my roles might be changing. No, I'm always going to be me. I'm always going to be Gina. My skills are alchemizing. My high quality items are alchemizing. And so this dream journal was very powerful, but it wasn't over yet. I had to, take this, and then I folded it into an airplane, which I did randomly. So that's part of the oath, being open, authentic, thankful, honoring holy instances. Because I kept thinking, like, there's, I've got the wings, I've got the wind, but it seems like we're not in sync so this plane can take off. And I made an airplane, and then I was having fun, like, throwing it around in my bedroom. And I don't know. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know if I'm manifesting, but I'm just playing. And then I'll show you. I have know what to call it. Sometimes I call it different things. That I know you can't see my face right now. Nature's bedding. Um, this is basically a bed um, full of just things that I found in nature. Things that were already on the ground. I didn't pick anything off of any plants. So there's bark from trees here that I just found in the backyard, leaves, flowers. There's a couple of snail shells, and they were on the dried outside when I took them. These I still can't believe they're holding their purple color. But anyways, I just put stuff in here, sticks, and whenever I get a new tool, like um, my kuyas, if I have like my rattle, I added these ribbons to it. I just put it in here and cover it up, and I let it sleep, and sometimes I don't know what to do. And it's like, I feel like I just need to dream. So I'm like, you know what? Maybe my tools need to dream. So I put my tarot cards in here, Dragon Dreams Oracle, and I put the airplane in here. So every day that I was working on this dream quest, I put the airplane in here and I covered it all up. I just let it dream away. And then each morning I would add to it. Yeah, so let me know in the comments if you can relate. I ended up needing to use the other page. I added more to it. Now it's just a big mess. Um, so, so what do you do with this now, right? So, um, Jaguar energy is very strong for me right now, and that tracking has to do with developing my own psychic abilities and not being afraid. And that was a big one for me. I'm always going to be me. I don't have to be afraid of my own gifts. And I'm really enjoying um, everything that I'm doing. And I love sharing it. And the connections that I make just are so big that there's a need for me to belong to a community just like this one, where we can keep sharing and then we have an ongoing dialogue. So, you know what I'm saying. Um, in this vision, there were other old dreams that came up. This was the dream that really spooked me initially with Jaguar, looking in the mirror, seeing a cat with a tail. For some people it might sound cool, but for me, it was scary. It was scary. And Um, I don't watch scary movies. Those of you who know me, so when I say certain things, people who watch scary movies, they're like, "Where are you getting that information from?" or whatever. And it's like, I don't know. Like, was I watching TV as a child, or was TV watching me? Like, eh. So there's lots to be said now. So what do you do with something like this? Something like this, you can twist it up and do fire ceremony with it. You can bury it in the ground. If you wanted to go to the ocean, put it in the mud, and then wait for the tide to come over, representative of the water taking it. There's lots that you can do. Let me know what you like to do. Some people, they like to shred their paper, and then they do arts and crafts with the shredded paper. They make paper out of it. They make cards, paint it, representative of recycling and renewing, rejuvenation type themes. Usually in a situation like this, I'll burn it, or I've taken it out in nature. I've taken it to the beach and I've done the tide thing. I've also discreetly just gone to a park, um, bring my tin can, set it on fire. And in advance, I have like a hole. And when I set it on fire, it's never been a big paper like this. It's always a small paper, and it's just, I do not want to attract attention to myself, and I also don't want to be arrested for starting fires in public. So just keeping those kind of things in mind. Um, so sometimes too, what I do is I staple this kind of stuff right into my dream journal, because for me, anyways, with this experience upon reflection, even though I felt compelled to grab a separate piece of paper, this belongs in my dream journal. So why was I compelled to grab a separate piece of paper? Well, unbeknownst to me at the time, at least not on a conscious level, my subconscious mind knew that this would be folded up and placed in here. My subby also knew that I didn't know this, but my subby knew, because the subby knows everything, that I was going to fold this into an airplane and, have some fun messing around in the bedroom, going like that, right? So, um, had I completed this activity in my dream journal, I probably wouldn't have made a paper airplane. It wouldn't have slept in the nature's bedding. What do you think I should call it? Let me know in the comments. So that's what I wanted to show you today. I also wanted to show you um, this dream journal here. I'm not going to go over this in detail, but sometimes when I do a dream journal, I just cover the full page with a picture. But sometimes I divide the page into sections. I drew this into 3 sections to represent 3 ideas. Um, Sometimes when I dream journal, 3 ideas could represent a beginning, a middle, and end. Where was I? Where am I now? Where do I want to be? It could represent all different kinds of things. Um, Sometimes I separate it because whatever's on the, like, let's say I separated into 2, a top and a bottom. The top is north, the bottom is south. So the information on the top is information that I want to connect with Hummingbird with, whereas the information on the bottom is information that I want to connect with Snake. So I might do stuff like that. So I just wanted to share this dream journal because I didn't draw a circle around it, but it was intended to be like a peace sign. It goes down and then it crosses over. I'm all about the chart. I taught a lot of kindergarten and primary, so when it comes to organizing ideas, just T charts. You do the peace sign. You can make an X if you want, but I find if you make an X, okay, yeah, it looks cool, but your rough draft, it's hard. I think X is a cool to get like those triangle shapes in there. Anyways, I'm just passionate teacher is coming out in me, but um, this symbol here is what I wanted to show you. Make sure that you can see it right here. See that W? So there's the W, and there's another one. They're kind of small. Basically, there's W shapes in a circle, and then there's U shapes in a circle. So what's up with that? Well, what's up with that is that I know I talk about my dreams a lot. So sometimes people are like, "Are you talking about your dreams or real life?" So sometimes I don't even know. But but in my when I'm like in real life, whales their pupils are a W shape. I'm sorry, they're a U shape. And this U shape connects them to the moon, because the moon, when it's a crescent moon, is a U shape. Um, and there's this business of whales being migrators, and um, the moon is not, I mean, it migrates around the sun like we do, but it's with us. Anyways, there's connections to be made about that. And also my own personal connections with the divine feminine, whales and comets, and this business of migrating, alchemy, things coming to full circle. There's also this business of the W pupil, and squid in real waking life, their pupil is a W shape. So that was powerful to me because the whale pupil, that was part of my dream journals maybe 3-ish years ago, maybe 4, 3 years ago for sure. And the wise and well whale and orca elders in my own Gina world, that's where that comes from. That's them. That's when I was making my connection to the gemstones. Recently, maybe 6 months ago, not quite a year, the W shape, the squid, presented in my gemstones. And so it's like I still don't get it yet, but there's connections for me to be made. And um those connections haven't presented in a while, the crescent moon shape one. And so uh the point I wanted to make is that when we dream and we document symbols, we create our own dream dictionary that has meaning to us. And when I started investigating this W shape and the U shape, when I'm looking, because I'm interested in astrology as well, I forget the name, but there's a W shaped constellation that's really been calling to me lately. So it's like, hello, W shaped constellation, W shape showing up in my dream journals, W shape with the squid folk. And, so there's something there for me to investigate, right? So I'm going to do that. I also started thinking, so the pupils were interesting to me, but then I started thinking about patterns in nature, like um, Venn diagrams, folks who have hooves, uh, patterns like waves, and just um, because Jaguar is all about the words and the emotion, right? So how do these symbols, because Jaguar is not about symbols, it's about words and emotions. But these words and emotions are generating symbols. Um, and uh, it's just very interesting. There's always lots to be said. And um, I'm wondering about you. Your dream journals, they're supposed to look super messy. I needed the other side, so I just wrote on it. Yeah. Nobody was with me live today. I see She Wolf Mountain is saying hi to Rosie. So Rosie's always with me in the background. I've got a bed hiding here. I'm in a bedroom, and then I got this sheet up. But because of the I'm brain farting it out. My background, um, visual effects. It's under there. There we go. Okay. So if you have any questions about dream journaling, I would love to hear them. I feel really passionate about dream journaling. Um, there's little fluffies flying around here. Um, when it comes to dream dictionaries, I get a little bit triggered. Don't go out and buy a dream dictionary. Let's say you have a dream about, I don't know, you're making jam. Don't go on the internet and be like, what does it mean if I'm having a dream making jam? I mean, you can get some insight, but then that insight very well could be front loading you, and then you start castle building something just to satisfy your own mind. And you got to remember your mind's number one job is to protect you. So if you're having like happy, fluffy dreams, what is your mind protecting you from? Right. And a lot of us, when we dream, we don't see any images or symbols. Why? Well, because when we're dreaming, when were we? You know that question, who are we? What am I? When am I? What freaking year am I in my dream? Is there even a year? Does this world even exist? Is it the ice age? Am I like in ancestral time, or am I like time primordial? Where am I sliding on the timeline? And so my dreams often don't have images and symbols because this Jaguar energy business, but also because in the past I took on a lot of forms like worms and sperms and parasites and bacteria and keys and seeds, if you will. So I didn't have eyeballs. You know, initially nobody had eyeballs. Before any symbols, it was just darkness, and that's the first level. The energy of snake. It's just black, and you shed. Um, and then jaguar, you start to get those impressions in the form of words and emotions. That's those are the original languages, and then at some point we start having images. So images can be really important, and at the same time, sometimes we require the words. And depending on where we are in our journey, will depend on what's reflected in our dream journal. And something that may or may not make sense in the moment will very much make sense later on, even from years from now. And it's important to keep your dream journals because then these like symbols or things that we call coincidences, it's not a coincidence, it's a synchronicity. And it's important to pay attention to. It's also important because when you review your dream journal, that's the thing. It's one thing to like document it, put it away, but there needs to be a reflective practice where you review your dream journal and you start to see like, I'm spending a lot of time, you know, getting stuck in this story pattern. I want to stop that. I need to start shifting the lens of my story. Or maybe you're like, you know what, I keep talking about this in my dream journal, but I have yet to do it. How much do I really want to do it? Do I need to alchemize this dream? Because it's okay if you don't want to do something anymore, but if you don't want to do it, why are you still documenting this? Like, there's always so much to be said. So if you're catching the replay, I would love to listen to your comments. Check me out on Buy Me a Coffee. You can leave comments there as well. And I wanted to let you know that November is just around the corner. And so if you haven't snagged a private membership yet, then I want to lovingly invite you to do that. You get to meet with me twice a month. That's how the memberships are going to roll. And I will be putting together a little presentation probably on Sunday, and I look forward to delivering it all next week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, probably Friday. So look out for that. If you join Buy Me a Coffee, you just default to getting the emails. And every day I'm going to tell you like what the memberships include. I'm going to tell you how much it costs. And then every day I would like to do some kind of fun live demonstration with you, um, just to show you how powerful your mind really is. And you can make change in your life. So You are your number one resource. You are your number one tool. Dream journaling is definitely a tool that I want to lovingly invite you to embrace. And I just wanted to remind you briefly before I let you go here, my YouTube channel, GinaVirginiaCasella.com. Again, that information is in the description. GinaVirginiaCasella.com. One link, it makes it easy. GinaVirginiaCasella.com. You can find my YouTube. You can find all kinds of free resources. And let me know which memberships, not memberships, which platforms you're using, because I want to make sure that I'm reaching dragon dreamers. So, not everybody's into this kind of stuff. And I want to make sure that I'm opening my own doorways, working with pull energy and pulling in the soul tribe. So if you're feeling the pull, that means you're listening to me and you're like, I'm listening to that girl Gina talk, and I swear she's talking about me. There's some things that she said that's me too. And that's when you're in connection with soul tribe. And so thank you so much for watching me today. Hummingbird's finest nectar. You are the finest nectar. Thank you for allowing me to share with you my dream journaling progress. And I would love to see pictures of your dream journal. If you wanted to take a picture or make a video, 1 to 3 minutes long maximum, there's the free Facebook group, the Dragon Dream Soul Tribe Collective. I would love for you to join, and I would absolutely adore if you registered for one of my paid memberships. Again, my name is Gina Virginia Casella. You can learn all about me on GinaVirginiaCasella.com. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you next time. And make sure you check out those videos on my YouTube for Dream Alchemist, because I do go over dream journaling, how to do it. I review things like multi-dimensionaling up your space, which is very effective for dream journaling. And right now, all this content is free. So I just really want it to be available to you. You're enough. Things are available to you, and you're the same as everyone else. We'll require community. And I thank you with much gratitude for being part of the Dragon Dreams Soul Tribe Collective. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I never want to take it for granted. So one thing I took for granted was my glove. I have to keep taking it off to navigate the internet. All right, Gina Virginia Casella here, signing off. Spiritual biz entrepreneur, energy medicine practitioner, gemstone reader. And what else am I? I'm a mind reprogrammer. So I've got lots of roles, but no matter what I do or where I go, I'm always going to be me. So hope you're always going to be you too, because there's no other you like you. You're the best you there ever was. You're the only you that ever will be. And on that note, GinaVirginiaCasella.com. Take care, Dragon Dreamers. See you next time.